CFR Network, CFR News, Shalom Balance Paradise. Welcome back. Being in the building. I got the sibling with me. It's been a long time, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sure has. And I thought to myself, well, hold up, what's going on with the old vampires in Brooklyn and all that old mess. And I see the sibling putting up some work again, and I was like, okay.
The Harlem vampires. That's what
Yes,
they is. Vampires in Harlem.
that's the
Yep.
one. That's the one. Because it's been pretty quiet, man. I mean, there was a nice little rise of content creators really delving in and talking the thing. And yeah, I'm gonna be at the trial, and go to my GoFundMe so I can go to this trial. And I'm thinking, are we not going down this route, are we? We're not gonna, you know, try and monetize the fuckery. We're not really gonna do this, are we? Let's
Yeah.
expose it. Let's put it out there. Let's make this be a blackboard experience where this can be an example. Like, this is what you do not do. Here are the signs. Here are the warning signs. Here are the crowd of people. If you hear them talking this kind of stuff, it's more likely it's going to be some foolishness and you're going to get yourself into trouble. So it's gone real quiet. There's been some people definitely still putting in that work, but it's hella quiet. And then I see Filthy Frank doing some very interesting things. Real interesting, man. So, sibling, please fill in the missing blanks, man. What on earth has been taking place since our last builds?
Well, the famous series that we did, the rise and fall of the Apartment of Commerce. After we did that, and 9 videos basically wrapping up that whole thing. And you know how nature works, that nature always warns you via somebody, and then eventually the events come together after that. And we did that build in 9/9/2021. And this was after Polight scenario came out about what happened earlier that year. And a lot of people been holding the secrets of what's been going on. So, which we already knew, me and you and those who have a nice bit of intuition knew that eventually it would take a while to manifest. But Polight did what most people do who have a little bit of money. You can get charged, you can get arrested and get out, and then you have to you pay a law to keep pushing it off. And eventually people kind of forget, and then other stuff come up and go down, come up and go down, and come up and go down. But eventually, like I said in that clip, that Polight ain't touched court yet, and everybody is telling. And so that right there was a prediction. And that was a prediction based upon the of nature and how it moves. So what we found out, which we knew, because Zion Lex was low-key threatening Sarnetta about what was really going on in Miami, right? But he never revealed what he knew, right? So the usual suspects that all we had, we just knew that Zion Lex was somewhat involved and he had some kind of knowledge that he wasn't telling. Nepal was also involved. She wasn't saying nothing. Came out after June, because remember, Polight did this to this girl in February of 2021. Nobody said nothing. And then when it came out, they hit him with the DNA warrant and stuff came out. We heard about he got arrested, then the DNA warrant came in and all that stuff. And then I like June, somewhere up in there after that was when it broke that he had been arrested in February. Nobody said nothing. Filthy Frank played like he didn't know what was going on. And he kept that position until recently, until last month,
Yeah.
when he was supposed to Poe Lester, aka Pedo Light, aka Sweet Michael Nowak, was supposed to go to court on the 7th after he went to court the first time, and it was like, okay, he have to come back on the 7th, some about 60 days, and then when he come back and supposed to take some kind of plea, it was going to include incarceration. So after he went to court about that and supposed to come back on the 7th of July last month, Sarnetta was talking about, oh yeah, I'm gonna do an interview with him and da 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 da. And he was on Garfield channel, and Garfield was like, he playing games. Like, why you want to interview him?
It's 5 o'clock.
When you know that the fact that they had DNA is nothing else to say. We're gonna wait to see what he pleads. And then Filthy Frank, he likes to move the goalpost, and he want to hold on as much as he can. And that's when him and Garfield had that back and forth in the video, which I showed, cussing each other out. And Garfield was like, you shouldn't be trying to interview him, period, because we got enough information for the streets to already make their assertion. One, Polight was never playing, he stopped playing the pro-black role a few years ago. So Polight could not play the government trying to set me up. You see what I'm saying? He didn't stay in the pro-black or off of my black people lane. So he couldn't say I got set up. He can't blame the FBI. He can't blame the CIA. He can't blame COINTELPRO. He had already took the detour. So then secondly, you're doing all these things that the pro I knew not to do that in the public. You didn't see Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and Elijah Muhammad, all these different people, rest in power, running around playing Hollywood and trying to do the middle. You see what I'm saying? You didn't see Khaled, you didn't see Farrakhan, you didn't see none of these rest in power, you didn't see none of these, you didn't see Dr. Ben, you didn't see Dr. Henry Clark, rest in power, you didn't see none of these people over here. And then next on the weekend, they over here. So all that work, even though we hated seeing that because it was disrespectful and a slap in the face to the struggle that's really going on, it actually worked and worked against him later on. That's why you don't hear coming out or say it in no uncertain terms, I'm being set up. He couldn't claim that. Because he was already going to clubs and hanging out with trannies. You try to play off like he didn't know who that person was. And it's clear, you can see the tranny on the passenger side of the car. The girl he claimed he was with a knife was in the driver's seat, and Polight was right there on the driver's seat with his head sticking in. So he knew who that person was. He did all this stuff, hanging out with white girls, hanging out with Kylie Jenner, taking pictures with all these people. We already seen all that. But saw being in the filthiness of his being, he didn't respect the rules of what you supposed to do being for the struggle of black people and what you don't supposed to do. He only played that game when he was under Khaled. Once Sarnetta did the same thing that Polight did. Once he got away from Khaled, he broke away from those reins of discipline, and then he went the street route. And now he's following that. That was more his speed because he came from the streets of Harlem, hustling and drugs and all that. And you can apply whatever your rules is according to your block and how you do with your crew. So he took that, went to 125, brought in the hustle game, mixed it with the DVDs and bootleg, and applied what he believed, and he treated those bootlegs and stuff like his product. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly what it was, sibling.
Right. So he set the stage. Okay, Ashwa Kwesi, I can do what I want with this. Bobby Hemmett, like that. He set the rules. He didn't look at the audience that these people who was already teaching had a certain belief and a certain standard of morals. He
Yes.
broke away from that, and people, because they wanted the information, it wasn't him. They wanted the information. Yeah, he compact all that stuff together, but he didn't respect where he got it from. Now, had he done that on a real street level, he would have been laid out on a corner a long time. Like, if you getting your supply from this person, you can't go over here and say, I'm gonna undercut where I'm getting it from. I'm a water it down. I'm gonna do whatever, and then I'm gonna outsell the source of where I'm getting it from and talk trash of where I got it from. So he was doing street stuff to people who wasn't street, because had Bobby Hemmett and all these people applied that, they knew spiritually and metaphysically, if they did harm to him, that they would get harmed. See, that's what made it easier for people like Sonetta and Polight, Red Pill, Blue Pill, King Simon, all these cats, Dr. Fear, all these people who, Queen of Four, all these people who straddled the fence, but at the same time, they didn't really care, and they really don't think that those laws of spirituality don't apply to them, but it applies to everybody. But Filthy Frank, he was like a mutation of them, because they all had the same mind. You just won't catch Phil and all these other people, the elders who around him, did not apply their pressure to make him stop doing what he was doing. That's no different than the big time, the Christian preachers and stuff. They ain't really finna go out there and tell them to get off their block, because the type of force that you're gonna need to go to them dudes, the preaching them ain't finna risk that. You see what I'm saying? So they'll play nice with them. That's what's kind of what happened to all these elders. If they was not in cahoots with Sonetta doing what he was doing, they just kept their head down. And then they made it worse by going over there and allowing him, endorsing by them going over there, even though they never addressed Sonetta's wrongdoing from the streets and the boot. By them going over there and working with it, it only made it worse. So case in point, now we back to them arguing over Sonetta talking about he want to interview him. And a lot of information came out since June to July. And Sonetta eventually confirmed what Zion Lex said, that he was down there in Miami. Now, Sonetta already had a video on his YouTube. I'm gonna drop it in here when I come back and play. It was called hold on, I'm gonna tell you the name of the video. Matter of fact, just give me a second, because I got it. The video, the name of the this is where you can go actually find it.
You see these people that don't necessarily, I mean, we all know that, some people aren't necessarily the sharpest tool in the box. And you have people who just put this, they record a lot of stuff, especially like going live and stuff, and they don't think people will share this information, this video, even if you want to try and put it on private and all this kind of stuff. They tell
Can
him,
you see it?
Yes.
Okay. This video here is on Sonetta's page. And it goes back about 2 years ago to June of 2021. And if you go to Sonetta's YouTube and look at it, you'll see him down there filming with Polight and them down in Miami, and some dude named Jojo Capone and another sister, her name's Sister Antesia. She was talking about some type of autoimmune disease she had. But on that, this picture is when Sonetta came back from Miami and he was playing some of Polight's rap. He had dropped the song.
Oh, yes.
Remember the rap, right? So he was there after the fact. But this is what happened when this is the same month and in time after they brought the D to Polight, and Sonetta got the hell from up there. Sister Nandy says she got some receipts she's gonna drop explaining that a little bit more, and how a dude named something Macon, George Macon, is
George Macon.
Right. He the one that helped Sonetta get from down there, because the Sonetta couldn't leave Miami and go back to New York because somewhat it was a lot. It was gonna be the delay of him getting from down there. So she was saying that Sonetta was trying to get out of there quick after what happened. So he called George Macon. George Macon made some kind of move where he was able to take a flight from Miami to one spot and then go to Philly, and then he drove Sonetta from Philly back to Harlem. So she says she got information that's gonna expose that. But this video right here, I didn't know about this video at the time. So he had already told on himself that he was down there, but he didn't connect it. He didn't tell people he was down there with Polight when they brought that DNA warrant. And that's when it came out in the articles in the newspaper that they found semen stains on her and all of that. The reason why they didn't keep Polight in there the first time, because they had to get a DNA warrant and to get the DNA to test it against the skull. So they couldn't keep him for that, because it was no more illegal
physical evidence.
Right. They had the clothing, but they couldn't just say it was his without proving it. So he got out. Some kind of way he still got out on a technicality when he shouldn't have got out, because the allegations, even at that point, was enough to keep him in there. The drugs, the underage girl, the drinking, and the semen still was an implication that it was just y'all two, that the semen stains, of course it had to come from you, even if they didn't have enough, but it was some kind of mishap that he got out. And they kept it moving like it was nothing. So Sonetta, in the video I put out called I Warned You All, which is the build that me and you did, and another brother I did with Remy Ahmad, was showing how he said that he knew what had happened. And he was in the video like this, which y'all didn't know. See, I knew about what had happened before y'all knew about it. And when you take that into consideration, that means, and he said he talked to Polight all the time.
Yes.
So 1 to 2 times a week, or once a week.
Hey, Sylvan, I watched that part and I rewound it just to make sure. He went to say, I talked to Polight every day, and then he stopped by saying day, then he said week, then he said every other week. It's kind of like, are you telling on yourself, man? Right.
And the fact that he been keeping for Polight all this time before the scamming came out, when the scamming came out, messing with the girls and all of that, him calling him Little Dr. York, and he tried to backtrack and say, "Oh, I was trying to hurt him." And I said, first of all, when you really unpack what he said Little Dr. York, Renente, which is what he said her first name was, something Barnes. Did he say Tanisha Barnes?
Something like that, yeah. Something.
He said Renette. I know you ain't talking about her. He named her name and said that's my wife's cousin's daughter. And so then he said he was just making it up. But listen to the dumbness and how people went for that. Number one, if I'm gonna make up a lie and say, okay, I know you worship Dr. York and that's your boy, and we know he in jail for that, and now it's on record that you was messing with two minor age girls, and then you say the things he said. How you make that up? There's no way I can make a lie on Polight and say all those things if it wasn't in truth. Why would I throw my wife and her cousin's daughter in there and that's supposed to be a lie? That's not a lie. The lie would be you could be okay, Dr. York, blah 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 blah, little Dr. York, and you didn't say nothing else. You just saying you just trying to make him look bad by picking at his teacher. But you didn't do that. You went further and added family members and people that was kin in situations that was true. Tanisha Barnes, aka Renette, her mother Anuket, Miss Woody, left Polight. She had a baby with him, left Polight. They had some kind of beef on record in 2014 where the case was dropped for some apparent reason, but he can't see that baby that she has. Sonetta knew that. He knew that girl, Tanisha Barnes, if I'm saying her name right, Renette left the mother and went back over there with him. All this is real events. So how is it a lie?
That's disgusting.
You wasn't making up. Go ahead.
That's disgusting, Tar. That is
right,
absolutely filthy.
But he want us to believe all of that was made up. That's like who does that? Who does? And we see who Renette is. We seen her as a little girl. We seen him refer to her as his daughter. And then later on, they in a situation, and then it comes out that you messing with her and scams and schemes, all this stuff he said, and then you said, oh, I was just trying to hurt him because we was banging on each other. Nah, you said everything that you said was completely 1,000% correct. But because he's a liar and he thinks he can hustle people, and he don't realize he done made 30,000 videos. And in each video, when he's upset, he tells lies, or he'll go back on something he said and then get mad when we say, well, we was over here when you said this. Okay, so that is the big problem he's having with his inner circle. Now, it ain't blew up even worse because one, Shaka Ndugu Kemet, aka Mount Forever, used to go over there. And then one of the videos, I asked Filthy Frank about certain but
hey, rewind
right,
you broke up then. You broke up then. He said he came over to
Shaka. Right, Shaka Ndugu Kemet went over there on his platform because Shaka plays his clip every now and then where he was asking Sonetta about who's who and who was, guilty of pedophilia and all this stuff. And Saul was kind of like, he didn't want to talk about it, but he spoke about it a lot, just trying to be clear. Because he was like, I just want to know who's who, because if I one day visit New York, I know where not to go with me and my daughter. So Sonetta was like, a couple of Hebrew camps, they teach about, marrying underage girls or blah, blah, blah. And then he just kept trying to get away from it. So Saw, aka Filthy Frank, only likes to talk about these people when he's mad and he want to talk about it. But he thinks it's okay to keep these people around. And now that the pressure is being applied, because Polight situation is bringing all this other stuff up. Him and Shaka fell out because Shaka didn't appreciate what he was doing over there. And then Saw got this thing where he believes that you don't supposed to talk against him. Whatever he does, right, wrong, or indifferent, you don't supposed to say nothing, especially if you was on his show and he gave you some kind of props and you turn on him. He don't care about right and wrong according to the bigger picture. He cares about right or wrong according to what he thinks. Okay? So Shaka been going at him for about 6-7 months about the people that's been pedos on his platform that he keeps bringing back. Sarnetta, what he does is he responds to it as if he had a person over there, found out they was filthy, cut off ties with them, and then people like Shaka myself is still accusing him of having these people over there after the fact. That's not true. That's not the reality. He wants people to believe that. But when we go back and forth, we show that we play the clip of the day. Like Israel Doctrine was saying that he was putting hickeys on his niece's neck, right? And Israel Doctrine was over there on Sarnetta's platform like last week.
Oh, wait a minute. Rewind, sibling. Israel Doctrine from Arkansas has said that he himself is putting hickeys on his niece's neck.
That's what he said. And I seen the other day because Queen Thrones was talking about it like 3 weeks ago, and I looked it up. And and it's a clip out there. And I think he took the video down. He removed the video when he was saying it. But it's a clip floating around where they playing that part. But he's right back over there on Sarnetta. Same thing with the Mighty Hebrew, who Sarnetta said out his mouth with that the Mighty Hebrew molested children twice to their knowledge. And then Sarnetta was like, now he back over there in the Hebrew camp. And like ain't nothing never happened. But then later on, when Pharaoh came back to Sarnetta a couple of months ago, right? Mighty Hebrew was on a panel with Q Bud and all these other people. And so it's like, then Sarnetta was like, yo, me and the Hebrew, we cool, we have our ups and downs. He done stayed the night over my house and all. It's like, who does that? If you had a person who's been arrested and documented for molesting children at least twice, why would you have them in your apartment sleeping over there in your house and your kids is there? So when you bring this, go ahead.
I'll go one better. What are you doing even conversing with such beings who have been convicted of messing with underage people? What are we talking about? And then remember when he's putting up solar mines in all of his government information and this and that. It's highly suspicious that we've got, obviously, within our community and within this alleged quote unquote conscious community, we have people who unfortunately have been on, they've gone through the system in it, ex-criminals and stuff, but we've got people who are trying to find knowledge of self, etc., and make right what the wrong that they did in the past. But it doesn't seem that's necessarily the case with, a lot of the faces that are connected to Filthy Frank. It seems that outside of just being criminals, greedy, they've got some perverse kind of thing going in.
Yeah, and he's, because Filthy Frank is the type of person is do as I say but don't do as I do. He feels he's exempt from all of this stuff. He feels he has the right to access all of these individuals and use them whatever he feels fit. And he doesn't, again, I told you, he ignores the bigger morality picture. He doesn't do what's best for the whole. He does what's best for him. That's the problem that we have when we dealing with this type of individual. And so only thing you can do is keep repeating the same thing over and over when they do these bills. And what he's doing is creating delusions and deception. Like he talked about Shaka and talking about he had his 3-year-old daughter on his lap and she was exposed, which was not true. But he went and told his people that, and he's always, and again, he wants to call Shaka a pedophile or something going on toward that effect. But then when you go say, well, show the video. Because he like, yeah, I got the nigga, I caught the nigga doing this. Okay, where's the video? There's no video. But we got a video. Go ahead.
What about the other Shaka Upmost?
Right. Shaka Upmost. But he ignores that. He ignores Shaka Upmost. He stays away from that. And like I said before on Queen Stone a couple hours ago, What about when he was watching porn when Polight had his little girl on his lap? And why you didn't accuse Polight of having his daughter doing something crazy sitting on his lap? Because he tried to make it appear like a man holding his child on his lap is a sin. And I'm pretty sure he had all his kids on his lap. But because Sonetta is possessed by Leviathan sex forces, all of them are, and that's why they, to this day, Zion Lex got a debate coming up. I think it's tomorrow about them debating is rape allowed in the Bible. They still doing that.
What?
They still, Zion Lex already debated Polight about rape, and then Polight attempts to rape somebody in the mouth. Right now, he's finna debate some other guy I never heard of about rape in the Bible again. And last week, a week before that, y'all talking about rape. 2-3 weeks ago, you still talking about rape. And this is what people don't understand. And you got people who have committed rape, statutory rape, pedophilia, Prince York child abuse, and we got all of the documentation for that. But when you call him what it is with the proof from his own camp, it's all of a sudden it's some unprovoked attack. It's not an attack, it's a response to what you've been doing. An attack is if you're not doing anything, you innocent, and then we are saying something to you, but that's not the case. We are reacting to what he's done, and he doesn't want to accept that.
And you know, so, that spell of Leviathan that you're talking about,
right.
it's got these in the nicest way, some of these new boots to the knowledge, man. They're out there defending No Lights. They're defending him, saying, "Yo, no." And you know what? There's a part of me that kind of gets it. Like, of course, we've got the powers that should have never have been, you know, the dominant sort of culture. You know, they're doing things, and they've historically done things, COINTELPRO, etc. They're doing it right now by having some of these people free on the streets, able to be on YouTube talking the most hateful, filthiest shit, but they're allowed to flourish and survive and have huge followings and all these kind of things, all this kind of stuff. And people who are actually trying to bring forth proper knowledge and information and stuff, that you get shadow banned, you get blocked, you get warned for saying, "Oh, well, that goes against the community guidelines." And you're like, "Well, wait a minute, I'm not screaming and shouting and cursing at people and all this kind of stuff. How are they able to do this, but we ain't, man?" There's a proper gander machine and an agenda that's going on. And as I say, these new boots, that, yo, Brother Polight, that he was doing the right thing, man. He was trying to do, oh my God, my horror car. They're getting, Sonetta's done, man. The plastic fork has you don't even need the plastic fork anymore. Sonetta's more than done. He's burnt. He's inedible at this point. He's past Cajun. He's done.
And look, it's in 25 hours, so that's tomorrow. So again, he ain't learned. That's like we was telling with Dr. York. People want to argue about this because he wore the mask of fake "I'm for black people," and he went down. When you look at what he went down for, it was for what? Money structuring and sex crimes against children. Okay, now when you look at the teachings and all the stuff that then flowed from that camp since he been in jail, it's the stuff I was talking about: the homosexuals, hermaphrodites having sex in a ritual with a little child in the middle, a golden child. All this stuff I presented. This the teachings. So if you look at what he went down for, and the teachings that came out after and before, just like I told on Queen's Thrones, I got 2 audios of him teaching that Amun-Ra priesthood in ancient Kemet around the time of Akhenaten, the pharaohs was in order to pass his blessings and spiritual power to the priests, his wife would have to do fellatio to get the priest erect, the pharaoh erect, and the priest would come in there and lift up their robes and basically sit on the pharaoh until he ejaculate, and they supposed to get some kind of secret power from the pharaoh. But that wasn't number homosexuality. But again, number two is nowhere no proof of that on record. So, but he's teaching that, and he taught that if he's on in the audio, he'll tell you that, you know, oh, I ain't gonna open up ancient Egypt to y'all. Y'all ain't ready for that. But you was doing that stuff in the name of Kemet, and that's why he was have his inner crew was molesting these children and using York's false teaching and corrupted visualization and interpretation to commit these. York went to jail for something totally different. And then people like me was like, yeah, well, he taught this and taught that, and I couldn't produce no evidence. Then it makes sense to argue that. But you can't argue these facts when they are facts, and York is teaching it. You see? So, but, you know, son, 50 Frank is following, and the evidence is, again, like with York, look at what he's doing, and look at the people around him and the people he keep bringing around him, and they all have some sort of sexual misconduct on them, and he keeps bringing it up. But now if he go to jail, and then people start talking about Sarnetta, well, you know, Sarnetta, he you know, he had a platform that had sexual divas on it.
Yes.
It's the same thing as what York. You can bring the fact. We doing it now. We don't have to wait till something's going to happen. So all of this been going on. It's just now it done turned into just deviant sex. And that's all they talking about. You know, Unc come over there and do his usual stuff about science. They not really paying attention to that. He have other stragglers come in and that. You know, Ali Muhammad, he brought him back after he was a super scammer back in the early 2000s.
You know what though, sibling? I actually, even though I'm obviously finding out obviously new information, etc., and obviously a lot of the more science information is a bit, you know, flaky. But I really used to enjoy listening to Dr. Ali Muhammad do his thing still. I still think he's an articulate, intelligent brother, but reference, you know, these Moorish little codes that they tried, you know, that they'd try and sell to each other, and this uniform, was it UCC?
Yeah, that's the Uniform Commercial Code.
Birth certificates and cashing that in and all this thing, like you know, why don't we work and be successful from the sweat of our brow? And if not from the physical sweat of our brow, from the intelligence, bringing forth, you know, useful information, books, and you know, like all this other stuff.
Because we can't, because of the negative forces have to be the height and volume have to be reduced, and a separation must occur, and a war must happen as well. We at the time of Armageddon, like some of the Bible says, and even the nature books and other people's traditions predict this. So it has to be punishment. So you got a lot of these wrongdoers running around and they ain't been punished yet. See, they got to be punished and removed so the real people can move forward without these people. We've been trying to do this with all these wrongdoers in our midst, from Marcus Garvey on down, just starting from that point. And we all have gotten nowhere fast because we still stuck. And what people like Sonetta do in York and all of them is they run the clock down, making the youth older, and they got stuck because they couldn't do anything, and they keep creating more dummies to make it more harder for you to do anything. Like SETI and people like them, they grew old on YouTube. They couldn't get out there and do nothing in the streets because you got all these big mega churches, all these other organizations that are nefarious, and they're doing things behind the scenes, whether it's the government or some subversion of it, or some crazy elites overseas in they dungeons coming up with stuff. All of these folks got to be removed because they are too big. These are behemoths.
Yeah.
These are leviathans themselves that you can't do anything significant because of the power that they wield. So going through the politics ain't gonna work. You're gonna get blocked at a certain point. And if you want to play the game, you have to now become into their circle, whether it's Republican, Democrat, or whatever. These people are witches and warlocks, and they're in the child sex trafficking and blood drink. These folks will do whatever it takes to make sure their lifestyle exists, and they trying to take us out. Those powers have to be eliminated, and then you have a true start over. You can't do it with all these cats because they all become vampires in Brooklyn all over the place. Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, all these are old vampires.
Yes.
So they just brought up new people like Boyce Watkins. All these people come from them. Tariq Nasheed, all of these people come from these. I like it in America. I don't want to really go overseas. I don't want to really do no real work. And name the ones, like you said, the negative forces funnel these people with opportunities and money. Billy Carson, he don't care about black people. He want to be accepted by his Asian wife people and the culture. He's over there with them. He's not going to turn on them for people. That's the whole point of paying all these black people millions of dollars, whether it's in sports or music, whatever. They're not going to turn on them. Look, they don't have no race pride. So when you see them in the basketball and these dudes, oh yeah, you're getting drafted and you're getting, 300 million, for 10 years. You see how they be hugging the
yeah.
All that to be like, that's their friend. That's their best friend.
Yeah.
They'll never turn on them for me and you. They don't care. And Sarnetta's the same way. He's not African. All right? Queen's Throne put up a video when he was on Queen's Flip, which is Cameron and Jim Jones' homeboy, right? He do a lot of crazy skits and stuff on his YouTube. And they asked him about his father, and he you ought to see how he looks. He was looking so apprehensive. He was like, I didn't really know my father. I just know he was Dominican. That's it. You are what your father is, and he don't have no kinky hair, and he been making black people fight against each other for about 20 years. He don't have no Dominican people over there. You don't have them debating each other. He ain't over there messing with the Dominicans and the Spanish and all them people that's a part of his haplogroup, because guess what? Let him go over there and start talking ish about the Catholic Church or some part of the Dominican Republic's religion. They're going to be right on TV with the Santeria and the voodoo dolls, and he's going to be dead. He'll be dead in 2 weeks. So, but the Negroes, he'll stay right there and cause all of these problems with our race. And these dummies who saying they so pro-black, so African, weak-minded slaves. And he used that against them. So that's my biggest problem against him. It ain't just because he have the Wapians over there. It's because he's not a member of our race. He's a part of our race because his mother was African American, as he say. But he don't have the kink. So he don't abuse his power. Again, if Sarnetta was another color, they would be on him like they should. They again, same thing with Thomas Sotomayor. They gave him the business, but because he wasn't in the pro-black zone, he had a lot of people wasn't black who was supporting him, so we couldn't get rid of him. You got somebody that's in the hood who been talking about people's mothers, daughters, family members that are dead, all of this stuff, calling you a nigga. He ain't a nigga as far as nigga being applied to African people. He's calling us that. And they don't see nothing wrong with that because they mentally dead. And that's why I keep saying that. Now, the thing with the sex still going on, because Judah Nazareth is now accusing, like since 2-3 weeks ago, on his live that Nepal, he said they was real tight, that Nepal told him she lost her doula license as a midwife because she allegedly was touching children, and she
What?
lost her business. This is what Judah Nazareth is saying. So
Well, wasn't
now
there a couple? Weren't there a couple at some point or something like that?
I don't know, but she definitely was messing around with a bunch of men from the Hebrew camps and sleeping around and taking pictures and sending selfies and all this stuff. And Sarnetta brought another sexually immoral person into the camp. See, it's the same pattern, right? So now you got her was trying to paint herself like she was clean and cute and pure, and that she really cared about the Bible, and you ain't black either. And that's another problem. We have to separate ourselves from these non-black African people that's in our lane, causing confusion. The Hebrew Israelites in the Bible and all that did not solve black people problems. All it did was kept us high and doped up through slavery, holding on, hoping, and waiting for the time when the real truth and facts will come. And that's noon. Noon is here. They just don't know it's here. But when you look at all of the problems, the Bible, the Quran, all these books prior to 1962, February 5th, have done nothing for us as a race. Now you can look at it in components and say, yeah, TD Jakes, or you can find certain Christian families who got a couple of generations of wealth and they looking good and they got houses and cars and kids and went to school, but that ain't got nothing to do with our race as a whole. Those spirit forces hooked y'all up to make other black people feel like if I can be the best Christian or the best Muslim, that'll work for me. And that's the trick of religion. We have to give them back their versions of it and get the true information. And that's what's wrong with us. So Nepal is and she ain't did no videos saying this ain't true. She ain't go up there at least for 5 minutes or play the clip and say, this is a lie. He's slandering me. She ain't done none of that.
Is she still with the Killer Feast, brother?
No, she went over there. Judah Nazareth allegedly said she went over there and got passed around between him and some other Wu-Tang Clan members and sent her back. Judah Nazareth said she took more than $6,000 because Sarnetta went under somewhere, I think, in the chat and said that when she left him the months ago, she took $6,000 that's supposed to have been dealing with something with Jabari and some other debate with Judah. Yeah. But Judah Nazareth said she took thousands of dollars more when she went over there, and he said it was pictures of her she put up when she was in Cali on the beach and taking pictures and all. She was over there living good off of the money he raised for the bait she took. And he said out of his own mouth she took the money from him, and then he let her back after that. And then she was on a clip, I think, that Sister Nanny was playing, where she said when she went on Judah Nazareth's panel, the same guy that's calling her all these names and said that Sarnetta lying on her, talking about she took money, she didn't take money. Then she said that Sarnetta did something where her mother is 80-some years old, paying chargeback fees for something that she's supposed to do business with Sarnetta, and he did something with the transaction. Now her mother got to pay chargeback fees. So it's all this mess going on with money and sex and deviancy.
Sloppy. I mean, come on, man. What kind of grown adults, never mind young children, put their damn iPhones on and start talking their personal business about, oh yeah, my brethren did this, and yeah, man, they messed my credit up, and now my mom's got to. Who does that, man? Who is that? Who is that helping? Who is that uplifting? Is that showing you to? Is that like, okay, look at my life and how stupid I'm doing things. Don't do what I'm doing. Is this like a warning for us or some shit? It don't make no sense.
And that's just, again, this is just what's been happening the last couple of months. Besides losing subscribers, he done created a new joint called the Cam Up Podcast. It doesn't matter.
The what?
Cam Up Podcast. Yeah, because he's so afraid of people being around, taking what he's saying and bringing it back over here or whatever. He want to have people's face seen. It doesn't change no matter, because if a person gonna turn on you or they see something you doing wrong and they go somewhere else. You having a picture, it's not going to stop what you've done, because he's been playing this game of deflection. I'm gonna put up a picture, and hopefully when I yell fire, they're gonna look at the picture and think it's a fire and lose sight of what I'm doing. It doesn't help change anything. And Sister Nandy said that, according to what Shaka was telling me, is that she got his pages being investigated by the FBI for scams and everything connected to that. So if that's true, have been made aware that you being under investigation because of this stuff with Polight. And Polight, when he go to trial, all that stuff was going to come out, because Sarnetta was again by Akeisha Shabazz, the lawyer. We got the clip. She said that she's seen a lot of transactions with Polight robbing other people, scamming. Sarnetta was also involved in these transactions. So, and she said that she's going to make sure the FBI get a hold of these videos, and she probably done sent that stuff out. You know how the FBI do? They take a while before they come through. And when they come through, they're going to have an airtight situation. So Frankie knows he's in trouble, and all of his people is into talking about rape. They can't stop talking about it. He done admitted that he been in contact with Polight all this time. Garfield even admitted on the clip I put in, right, that I warned y'all that he texted Polight when he went to court before they gave him the July 7th. So that means Garfield got Polight number all this time. Y'all ain't said nothing. Then the star came out that Garfield was scam somebody he know, and Sarnetta begged him not to put the people on Garfield. And that was 6 years ago. So all of this shows you that Garfield is a scammer, and Sarnetta protected him, but only after him and Garfield got to this point, all of a sudden Star wants to tell a story about Garfield scamming somebody and Sarnetta stopped him. The only thing Star did by doing that, it didn't make Sarnetta look good. It had the opposite effect. It shows that Sarnetta is knowing these dudes are fleecing black people. You don't hear about none of these Negroes doing nothing to Dominicans. Why you ain't scamming Dominicans? Because the Dominicans gonna go to the Santeria and they gonna make sure you be dead in 2 weeks. That's why he ain't gonna scam nobody that's not black. Black people have allowed themselves, African kinky head people, woolly head people have allowed themselves to be sedated and punked by somebody who lives in an apartment in Harlem, who's been threatening and corrupting the information that was being brought all this time. He is an agent of negativity and sexual deviancy. Whether he works for the government or not, he works for the spiritual evil government that's against our race of people. These are facts.
I couldn't have put that any better, sibling. I could not have put that any better. Apartment. Listen, all of the wickedness, and you're living in a place with bars over your damn windows, pushing damn big machine Mercedes, leased Mercedes. You can't go take your ass out and your family out and go buy it and go lease. Well, because I know Americans don't necessarily buy homes, but lease a better place. What are we doing? Huh?
And he done made mad money.
Holy money.
He done made a bunch of money, but then when Polight came, Polight made millions off of that thing with Kemet.
Yes.
He made millions off of that, and that's how Polight was able to get up out of Dodge, and he been messed up ever since. But trust me, had he was able to get that money and Polight split it with him, he probably wouldn't have left New York. He probably would have went further out of the hood though, but still stayed in, because he has the mind of a block hustler. He can't think outside the block.
No,
this is like it was. He was just like the dude on what's that movie? When they redid Shaft with Samuel Jackson with the Spanish guy named Peoples, and he told people that he need to stay on the block because he was trying to get outside his his zone with that rich white boy that committed that crime, and when he killed that. But remember, he hit your boy with some type of thing outside the club, Mekhi Phifer club with the white girl, and he got mad and went outside and smoked a cigarette. When he got into it, and he hit him in the head, and he started hanging with him. So that's is Peoples in the Shaft remake, and he tried to go outside his hustler's zone and end up in the problems, in the predicament that he has. A light is going down, and he's going to take Sarnetta and them with him, and as soon as it becomes clear that to go, everybody else that he has on, because he said everybody knows why are you recording phone calls? You understand? And why are you keeping records on people in the community? This is agent activity in itself.
You see? But a hint to the wise should be more than sufficient, right? So as we can go back to, let's say, what we're in now. We're in the Gregorian year of 2023. The majority of this real suspicious behavior, the zenith, in my opinion, would be around the 2014 to 15 mark. That's when it was kind of like, wait a minute, man, you're saying way too much here, man. And I'm listening to you. I'm not just hearing what you're saying. I'm actually listening to what you're saying. And like if I'm doing that, surely other people will be listening. So I haven't been subscribed to Sarnetta Studios, House of Consciousness, whatever was it the university thing. I haven't been subscribed to none of them things for years, because after a certain point, and this is again, this is to the listeners and the siblings. Them, everything has its reason and its season. What are you getting out of watching? Taking your hard-earned time to go watch this content. What are you getting from it? Rape? Flipping debates? What are we talking about?
That's been the primary thing over there. Is rape talk. You know, type of instances. I mean, it's not even instances. Some of them are like quotes, but the Dina story and how she got raped by a Canaanite or whatever, and then the brothers didn't like it, and they hurt everybody, and then they got some quotes in Leviticus that, you know, you find a man with somebody, blah blah blah, he gotta, you know, pay the fall and he gotta marry and can't divorce. You got little things like that. So it's like it's different verses. It's not that many verses on it. Keep making it because that's what they don't realize, that his sexual preferences and what and that on Inky show 2 years ago. And all of a sudden, before he didn't know who Nikki was, then next thing you know, he know who she was, he know where her people's at, then he goes and get a phone call and then get live. But hello, who? He said, who is this? It's like, Nikki. I'm like, oh, snap. And she was saying it in a sexual type of tone. Like, what up, boo? We ain't talked in a long time. That's how that was. Then he said, Ben is saying that me and you was messing around when I was 33 years old. You would expect her to say, she said, oh, just trying to get fame and offer you. She didn't deny it. By the time Dummy realized that she didn't say what it sounded like when he first recorded the conversation with her, he stopped the phone call and act like he was hanging with her and be like, yeah, that's enough. I ain't gonna get all enough. But guess what he implicated was on the phone call? Captain Tazaria. Why you always got this man around doing filthy business? Because Cap is his other ace boon coon. So Tazara is also in the cut, just Garfield and whoever else. So it's a matter of time when the positive force of nature throw that lightning bolt down there, and that flash of lightning gonna show all the darkness being exposed and who's in the dark hiding. And again, birds of a feather flock together. These people know these things. Tazari, all these people, Zion Lex, study the books. They know that this stuff that they claiming have consequences, but they appear to not care. And we've seen this before. People wield the Bible, the Quran, the Vedas, whatever religious tool or tradition, they'll wield it like it was damn Luke Skywalker in his prime. But then when it's time to go down, they just fall on their own lightsaber. They out of here because they was false.
Yes,
they were false.
Sibling, I'm having a bit of technicals on my end at the moment, so we're gonna definitely have to come back for a part 2 to finish this off here. But this has been a very interesting update, man. It's been an interesting yet troubling update. I'm very much looking forward to encapsulating this build, man. I'll make sure I get this out very quickly. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Make sure you follow the links. I'll put Tar's YouTube channel link in the description. Make sure you check out the extensive catalog of some very well put together videos. Much appreciated, sibling, man. We'll be getting back on this here real soon, you heard?